Hey, good people, Tiffany here. So I am so excited from the feedback that I've got from you guys from the lifestyle management plan video. So excited and so proud of you guys. A lot of people have asked questions in Messenger, and then just asking questions in the comments and giving your feedback. I'm so excited that it's been helpful to you guys. It's been a life changer for me. I mean, it's been a life changer for me, and I hope that it will be for you guys as well. But it's not gonna do you any good if you don't put those things into action. So I want to challenge you guys to make sure that you put those things into action. Whatever you put on your lifestyle management plan, put it into action. Please put it into action, okay? So as you can see from the title of the video, it says budgets build generational wealth, and it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. So before I jump into that, I want to share something with you guys. I know a lot of y'all out here don't act brand new with me. Y'all know what a wish sandwich is. Okay, wish, W-I-S-H, a wish sandwich. Okay, so it's a running joke when we were growing up. You know, we would be at home by ourselves with cousins, and we didn't have any adults around. You know, so we were like, okay, what we gonna eat today? Or we're hungry, and so we would be like, okay, I'm gonna make a wish sandwich. And for those who don't know what a wish sandwich is, let me explain. A wish sandwich is you got your top bun, you got your bottom bun, or you got two slices of bread, right? Okay, you got the one at the top, you got one at the bottom. And then whatever comes in the middle is what you wish for, because you don't have all the components of your sandwich. So you got to wish up on your lettuce, your tomatoes, your patty, all that good stuff. You got to wish up on that stuff, okay? So I want you guys to think of your budget in the same way. And a lot of times if I ask, okay, what is a budget to you? A lot of people say, well, you have your income and your expenses. That's correct. So you have your income and you have your expenses. But a lot of times people don't understand what to do as a system when it comes to a budget, right? So here's a story. On my dad's side and on my mom's side, there are stories of really wealthy people who come from my family on both ends. I know a little bit more specifically on my dad's side because I hear a lot of those stories. I've seen articles of my great, I don't know, whatever, had, she was one of the richest people in East Texas. I've seen stories written up about her, stories about my family, all this good stuff. And my family still receives royalties from it. But how much are those royalties? Literally some change. And that's the sad part. And that's why a budget is so important. Because if you don't know how to manage your money, you cannot build generational wealth. You can't, because you don't know how to move your money. You have to understand how to manage your money, and that's what a budget is for. And that's why you have to understand, if you don't have your budget in place, if you don't have a tight budget and following a budget, you can never reach the wealth that you really want. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You hear about athletes, you hear about rappers, singers, you hear about all these different professionals in different industries that come across a lot of money, and years later you see them go either bankrupt, or you just never know what happened to their money. And that's because they mismanaged their money. There was nobody there to tell them how to manage their money. Your average everyday person experiences the exact same thing. A lot of times you'll see people with all the latest things, or you might see people with all the latest cars, whatever. But a lot of times, if you look at it on the back end, a lot of them are utilizing all of their money to purchase these things. They don't have a savings, they don't have a budget that they follow, they don't have anything. And so that's why it's so important to be able to understand why a budget is so important. You hear the term all the time, but a lot of people are just like, well, you just have your income and you just have your expenses. What more is it? It's a lot more to it. It is a lot more to it than just your income and your expenses. And that's why I use the wish sandwich concept, because you have your bun, top bun, that's your income, and then you have your bottom bun, you have your expenses. Well, it's so much more to that. You have to understand how to pay your bills. You got to understand as soon as your check hits what you need to be doing. You have to have all these different things that create a budget system. Okay, that's the key. You have to create a budget system. You have to understand your income. You have to understand your expenses. You have to know what to do with both of those things. Then you create other components around it that you plug and play to create this system that's so extremely important. Okay, paying your bills is not just, oh, this bill is due, let me pay it. That's not how you pay bills. There's an actual strategy about how you pay bills. And that's why it's so important for you to have your budget together and in place, and understanding what your expenses are, understanding what your income looks like. And a lot of people sometimes, see, people don't like to talk about this part, when it comes to your income, because we can work with a budget all day long. But a lot of people want more than what their income is. So a lot of times you have to understand, okay, well, I'm currently in this role at work. If you're in the workforce, or even if you're an entrepreneur, you still operate off a budget. Everybody operates off a budget, and you can have multiple budgets. But it's so important to understand, okay, well, when my income comes in, if I want more money, I need to look at my job. I need to look at my career. I need to look at, okay, well, I'm in this current role right now and I want to make more money. Well, then you need to start looking at how can you advance your skill set. You need to start looking at what are other opportunities within the organization that offer more pay. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, well, I'm doing something I love. Well, there's other things that you can add to your skill set that you can continue to do what you love, but it'll offer you more pay. You know what I mean? So you have to look at that as well. You have to look at your income. Well, my income is, okay, is this amount? Good. Okay, then you have your gross and your net income, okay? And a lot of people don't understand your gross and your net. So let me help you understand. If you don't, your gross is everything, is the money before anything hits. Any deductibles come out of your check, okay? Your gross. I think about net. I can't remember who taught me this this concept of net. It might have been my mom. She might have taught me this. She said, I'm gonna go ahead and give her the credit for it. Okay, so mama taught me this. Net. Think about it as an actual net where you're catching butterflies, right? And so I like to tell people all the time, think about it's a net. It's actually catching what's left over, okay? That's your actual paycheck that you actually get deposited into your checking account. Okay, so that's your income. You have to look at it that way. You have to look at what all is coming out of my check, what needs to come out of my check, but what all is coming out of my check. And if it's still not enough to fund my expenses, I got to look at how can I bring in more income, whether that be starting a business, whether that be looking at, okay, well, I have these other incomes coming in, hint, hint, that might not be a paycheck from my job, but that's income. Right? You have to look at, people don't realize how much money just hits their hand, and they spend it so fast, they don't realize it. People come across a lot of money, you guys. And that's why I brought up the story about my family, because so much money. Her name was Julia Clayton, and my family is on my dad's side from Marshall, Texas. And I believe she was from the area of Kilgore. And there are articles about this lady, honey. She had some funds, and it was all associated with oil. But like I said, what our family gets is changed today. And that's because as the money, as the wealth continues to go from generation to generation, it continues to lessen because nobody is being taught how to manage that money. Okay? Nobody's being taught how to manage that money. And that's the scary part. So anyways, back to income. You have to understand, what do I need to do to bring in more income, right? And then you have to look at your expenses. It's so important. It's so important, okay? And I know everybody has heard this, especially you heard about a budget, income, expenses. If you want, you need to always look at lowering your expenses. Yeah, you do. You need to always look at how can you lower your expenses at all times. But it's not just that. There is a skill to paying your bills. Okay, there is a skill to paying your bills. There is a skill to budgets. Okay, you have to understand that everything is a system. Once you put together the right system, everything else just flows. Everything else just flows. So I want to tell you guys and to reiterate the difference between a budget and a budget system, okay? Your budget is just something that people say your income and your expenses. People don't know what to do with a budget. That's why people don't utilize them. But when you create a budget system, honey, a budget system, and this is not something you're just going to learn or it's just going to just dump into your brain. This is something that you have to be taught. You have to understand how to create a budget system. It's no different than your lifestyle management system. I can guarantee you a lot of you guys had something similar to what I shared with you guys that I do for my lifestyle management system, right? Or my lifestyle management plan, but you didn't operate it in that way. You might have had, it's kind of similar as a vision board. You can have a vision board all day long. If you don't know how to execute the things on your vision board, put goals and plans behind what's there, it's hard to make it happen. It's hard to make it happen. So your budget system is so critical because it goes into your savings plan. You cannot create or maximize, leverage your savings plan if your budget plan ain't in place. And that's why it's so important. You have to have your budget system in place. I don't know if y'all remember when I told y'all this, that I saved up $20,000 in 1 year. Now that took some sacrifice. Some sacrifice and dedication. And people who know me will tell you Tiffany was looking bummy, baby. I was looking bummy. I accept that. I was looking bummy. But I knew what I was trying to do, and I stuck to it, and it gets easier every single year. It gets easier and easier and easier. And it's not about making, or it's not about saving up $20,000. You have your own goal that you're wanting to reach. But you have to be willing to make the sacrifices to do what it takes to meet your goal. You know what I mean? And you have to have systems in place. Nobody wants to put a system in place. Nobody wants to learn how to put a system in place. You have to do what it takes to learn how to create a budget system. Again, you have your income. With your net income. That's what I'm looking at, your net income, not your gross, what your net income is. If it's not enough to you, you might be covering your expenses. Just because you're covering your expenses, that's not enough, okay? You don't want to just cover your expenses, okay? So you have your net income. What I want you to do is today, this is what I'm challenging y'all to do, to look at your income, okay? Your net income. And if it's not enough, or if it's just enough to cover your expense, I need you to look at more opportunities to bring in more income. You need to look at more opportunities to bring in more income, whether that be looking at maybe you get another part-time job, or whether you start a business, or whether you look at other things that come and hit your hand, okay? You get some funds that hit your hand. I know you do, okay? Look at all of those things, all right? That's what I want you to do. That's number one. And then I also want you to look at your expenses, all right? That's the second most important thing. You have to look at your expenses. And you have to figure out, okay, what are my expenses looking like? What can I do with my expenses? Are some of these expenses necessary? And you have to make the decision, and you have to stick with the decision on whether you need to pull or you need to rearrange how those expenses look. And then, and only then, I want you to start thinking about other opportunities that you can start figuring out. How can I create me a budget system, an actual budget system? And it's not an easy thing, but if you take the time to think about it, you can think about it this way. How is my money moving right now? As soon as my deposit hits my bank account, what is my money doing? And that'll tell you right there, because you have to create some parameters around the things that you're doing. And you have to take some time to say, okay, well, you know what? I need to look at how my money is operating. I need to look at how my money is moving. Is it moving into too many restaurants? Okay, I'm guilty a lot of times, okay? All right, I'm guilty. Okay, or am I buying too many outfits, shoes, purses? Am I getting my nails done too much? You got to look at all these different factors, okay? That's what I want you guys to do. And then I want you to think about, okay, what else can I do to make sure that I'm setting up myself to ensure that my money It's not just stretching, but every dollar has a plan for it. That's key. You have to make sure that every dollar that hits your hand has a plan for it. And again, remember when I told you there's a skill set to paying bills. It's not just about paying this person and being done. Look at how you're paying these people, okay? Look at all those things. It's so important. It's so important. I promise you, I would have never saved up $20,000 in 1 year. Now, I want y'all to also understand something. I am not associated with none of these affiliate stuff. I'm not associated with none of this marketing stuff. I done forgot what it's called. All this stuff. I had to get it out the mud, baby. I had to get it out the mud. And I had to learn for myself how to do these things. I had to ask questions. I had to ask people, well, okay, how do you move your money? How do you move your money? And a lot of times people are so willing to share things with you, but you have to ask. You have to ask. You have to want it for yourself. You have to want it for yourself. So again, I want to challenge you guys. Look at your income. Do you need to bring in more money? Look at your expenses. Do I need to reduce some of these expenses? And I want you to look at the way that you're paying your bills. Okay? I want you to look at the way that you're paying your bills. All right. And then the last thing I want you to look at is how your money is actually moving. And is every dollar assigned something? Do you know how to move your money? That's what I want you to look at. Okay. I want you to look at that. It's so important how your money is moving. Okay. So every dollar needs to have a place to go. Every dollar needs to have a place to go. And you need to, here's a nugget. Here's a nugget. This is what I do. When my check hits, I don't touch it. I do not touch anything when my check hits my account. When my check is deposited, I don't touch anything until I sit down and do my budget. Literally, until I sit down and I do my budget. And remember, when I told y'all I'm an aggressive saver, so that means that I will operate off of a little bit of money into my next check. I operate off a little bit of money into my next check. And because of the system that I have in place, it's almost like you are living paycheck to paycheck. That's kind of how mine's look. Okay, but it's a strategy behind it. And that's how I was able to save so much money, because of my budget. Okay, so make sure that you have your budget in place. Your budget is so critical. And remember, okay, you cannot build generational wealth. You cannot build generational wealth if you do not understand how to operate a budget system. Not a budget system, because a budget is much more than just your income and your expenses. Remember that. It's much more than just your income and your expenses, okay? I got a cold budget system, okay? I'm going to teach to y'all soon, okay? I have a cold budget system, and I would not have gotten to the places I am now with a lot of different things if I didn't have a cold budget system, but it took sacrifice. You got to do some things you don't want to do. I ain't talking about that kind of, you got to do some things that it's going to make it uncomfortable to do, okay? You have to do things like that. You have to make the sacrifices. That means that I didn't get my nails done for a while. I didn't get pedicures for a while. I had to do them myself, honey. I didn't get my hair done, okay? I didn't buy outfits. Now, I might have bought me a purse, okay? Or a pair of shoes every now and then to treat myself. I ain't saying neglect yourself, okay? But it's so important that you guys understand that a budget is so critical. And if you don't have a budget system in place, it's not going to take you anywhere. And I know y'all know I'm not lying. A lot of y'all say I got a budget, but y'all don't utilize it. Or it's sitting right in your head. I hear a lot of people say that all the time. Yeah, my budget is in my head. How's your budget in your head? How you get this stuff done? So it's so important that you create a budget system, okay? You have to create a budget system. All right, guys, until next time, I will see you guys later, and I hope you guys are putting together your budget. Look at your income, look at your expenses, and look at how you are paying your bills, and then you need to assign every dollar that you make. You need to put a plan behind every dollar that you make, okay? It is so critically important, all right? All right.